Vanakkam, hello, welcome to the Heritage of Tamils course. Now we are in the ninth topic, which is Bakthi literature, and we also talk about Azhwars and Nayanmars. Bhakti movement started somewhere in the 6th century, 600 C. The prominent persons were Trinayana Sambandar, Trinavukarasar, and also we have the Alvars of the Vaishnavite sect. The Bhakti literature, it sprung up as a response, a natural response to the social political dominance of the Shramana religions. The last topic we discussed about the main Shramana religions of Jainism and Buddhism. They were too stringent in their viewpoint of life, and they were not permitting people to enjoy life. So Bhakti movement is a revival of both the Hindu culture, which is a continuation of the Sangam traditions, as well as a new response to these Shamana religions. It sprung up where the people, the acharyas, emphasized on living a holistic life. So to attain God, to attain liberation, you don't have to be an ascetic. You can enjoy your life, family life, and you can fulfill your duties as any role, even as a warrior. So you can fulfill your role, but still you can do your duty and attain liberation. That is the gist of the Bhakti movement, and is also responsible for the social and political dominance taken by these religions. So in order to free the social political structure from these two Shramana religions, the Bhakti religion sprung up in Tamilnadu. So it is marked at around 6th century, 600 C. So if you are seeing all these topics, we are talking about Tamil literature. We are also seeing the history of Tamil literature as well as Tamil Nadu itself. The history of Tamil Nadu and Tamil literature go hand in hand. So we have the Sangam literature, which was about up to 300 CE, and from there we had the post Sangam literature. That is where the Jainam Buddhism were dominant. And then in the 6th century, we see the Bhakti movement. So as a response, and there's a lot of change. So it's not only the change in religion, the dominant religion, it is also a lot of change in the way the songs, the verses were composed. So the Bhakti religion took religion and God to common people. So until that, people has to go there. People has to seek liberation. But this took the God to the people, to the streets in a nice way. And it also gave prominence to the Tamil language. So Tamil until that time was not a primary liturgical language, but Sanskrit was. So it took Tamil to the prominent place, and it also the Bhakti movement also focuses on Tamil music. So they used music and a simple language to attract people towards God. So that is where we also have a lot of the fountainhead for the Tamil music. And the traditions, the literary traditions in the Bhakti literature, they deviate from the Sangam literature and post Sangam literature, especially the grammar put forth by Tolkappiyam. So in the Agam Puram forms, now in Sangam literature, the Agam Puram forms, there will be a person. So the person will be the patron of the song, Paatudai Talaivan, we say. In Agam literature, that is typically an imaginary person. The tradition itself, the rule itself is to not name the persons in Agam. So you say two people are falling in love and talking about the love life of the two people. It is not customary to mention the names of the people. So it applies to everyone. So you read the poem, it applies to you. You can enjoy the poem yourself. That is the tradition of the Agam poems. It talks about actual people and their deeds. But here in the Bhakti literature, these are transformed. They are adapted to be praising the God and the philosophies of religion. So they were nice adaptations and nice changes have been made. But the same Agampuram forms, we will see that all the Agampuram forms are used. And after this topic, we'll talk about the minor literature. They are all going hand in hand. So these transformations also led to a lot of minor literature, a lot of development in the Tamil literature. These are all adaptations of the Agampuram formats in that. See, the roots of this are already seen. So the pioneers of this are already seen in Sangam literature itself. For example, in Sangam literature itself, if you remember, we have the Pattu Paatu, where out of the 10 songs, 5 of them are Aatru Padai. So guiding someone to a patron, right? Guiding a musician, an artisan to a patron. And one of the songs is Tirumuruga Padai, where a devotee is guided to Murugan, Lord Murugan himself. So there itself, in Sangam literature itself, we see that a poet was capable of adapting an existing literary form, a format, to a religious format. So that was very successful there. And like that, we see that adaptation lot in the Bhakti literature. And the Siddhanta principles, the Tamil Saiva Siddhantam or Vaishnava Siddhantam, those philosophical things, they were developed in a very structured manner in a later day. So around the 13th to 14th century, they were developed in a very structured manner. But their roots are found in the Bhakti literature. So even though Alvars and Nayanmars have kept their songs very simple, very poetic and beautiful, but they are also full of very deep philosophical ideas. So you can take the song in any level you want. You can just enjoy the scenic beauty they describe, the experience they describe, or you can go deeper and delve into the philosophical nature of those songs. So that is the nature of these Bhakti literature. So that is a thing we'll see about them. Bhakti literature, when we say that, There are two dominant sections in the Bhakti literature, and it's till now it is the case. So we have the Shaivism, people who worship Lord Shivan, God as the ultimate God, and Vaishnavam, where people worship Vishnu as the ultimate God. Except for this, they are very similar in most regards, except for who is the primary deity. The ideas, concepts are all very similar in both the things, and in many cases, except for a few disagreements, quarrels, people have all went very well together. So people, the Shaivite people and the Vaishnava people have been able to live in harmony for most part of it. So we will talk about these in detail. So Bhakti literature that comes hand in hand with the people who sung those literature. So they are all they are from the Nayanmars also, and in Vaishnavism they are called Azhwars. Now one thing, so in Shaivism there are 63 Nayanmars, so whom we the Shaivite people worship as equivalent to Lord Shiva themselves. They are the foremost devotees of Shiva, and they are even worshipped slightly higher than Shiva himself. And in Vaishnavism there are 12 Azhwars, and in Shaivam there are 12 Tirumurai. So the Shaivite, all the text that from about 3rd century CE to up to even 12th century CE, all of these texts were compiled and they are arranged into canons. So these canons are called Tirumurai in Tamil. There are 12 such canons comprising of about 18,280 songs, verses of different sizes, different structures, different compositions, and all those. Similarly, all the Vaishnavite literature of this period, they are composed into the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. Nalayiram means 4,000. Divyam is divine. So Prabandham is the literature. So Nalayira Divya Prabandham, 4,000 divine literature. There are 4,000 verses compiled into 4,000s. There. Typically, the Shaivite literature, they are majorly composed of Padiham. All these the major works, Devaram, they are all made of Padiham. A Padiham is a collection of 10 songs set in a similar pattern. So if you read a Padiham, you typically find that one or two lines are repeated in all the verses. So they are all having a connection in that way. So they are called Padiham, and each of the song in a Padiham is called Padal or Tirupadal, and they have their own name depending on which canon they are from. Like that, in Nalayira Divya Prabandham, the collection of songs are called Tirumuri, typically, or called Tirumuri or Pattu. The Tirumuri is again a collection of songs, and a subsection will be a Pattu, 10 songs, a collection of 10 songs. The Pattu is very similar to Padiham. Padiham also means 10, Pattu. So both of these words are coming from the word for 10. And both of them encompasses various citrilekiums, minor literary forms. As I said, they are deviating from the traditional Sangam literature grammar, but they are leading into a beautiful minor literature formats. And in the Divya Prabandham, the songs, individual songs are called Pasuram. And there are also a lot of songs which are added in a later day period, praising the poets, praising the composers, praising the compilers, and talking about the Guru Parambara and all lineage of the teacher-student lineages. All these songs are called Taniyan. So typically, these songs are sung before and after certain works. So they are all called Taniyan, like that. One thing people seem to be confusing is that I want to clarify that here. So all Nayanmars, 63 Nayanmars are there. I will show the list to you. They are from various professions. All Nayanmars are not authors of Tirumurais. Okay, we should be very clear about that. The authors of Tirumurai, who are also Nayanmar, there are quite a few. There are quite a few, like Tirunana Sambandar, Appar, Karaikalammayar. So they are people, there are Nayanmars who have sung, contributed to the Tirumurai. But all 63 Nayanmars are not Tirumurai authors. That is one thing. Similarly, all authors of the Tirumurai are not Nayanmars. So there are people who have authored text in the Tirumurai, but they are not listed under the Nayanmars. This is because the 63 Nayanmar list comes from one single source. We will discuss that shortly. But on the other hand, when it comes to Vaishnavism, all Azhwars are authors of Divya Prabandham. Right? All authors of Divya Prabandham are Azhwars except one person, Periyakovil Nambi, who is also called as Tiruvarangathu Amudanar, who has sung the Ramanuja Nootrandadi. Except that one person, all the other authors of Divya Prabandham are Azhwars. And all Azhwars, all 12 Azhwars have contributed to the Divya Prabandham. Because of this, people also think all Nayanmars are authors of Tirumurai. That is not the case. So let us be very clear about this. Now let us take a look at the 12 Tirumurai. So let us first discuss about the Shaivism and then we'll go to Vaishnavism. So the 12 Tirumurai, I'm just quickly enumerating them. So if you start talking about them in detail, then we need hours and hours of discourses to do that. Luckily, there are so many discourses available in Tamil and English. There is a beautiful website called shaivam.org. I will give the link in the description. If you are interested, you can visit the website. So they have text contents, audio contents, and they also have a 24 hours live radio which talks about Tirumurais all the time. Right? So you can, if you're interested, you can visit that site and get all the details. There are a lot of English translations available in that site. So I'll give a couple of links in the description so you can check them out if you're interested. I'll quickly read the the 12 Tirumurais. The first three Tirumurai are all the songs sung by the most prominent Nayanmar, Tiruniyana Sambandar. So Tiruniyana Sambandar, again, if you start talking about the history of Tiruniyana Sambandar and all these Nayanmars and Azhwars, that will take a lot of time. But luckily, once again, we have a lot of discourses available, both in Tamil as well as in English. So interested people can learn from there. So Tiruniyana Sambandar is a very young person at a very young age of about 3 years. He got awakening from Lord Shiva, and he started singing songs praising Lord Shiva. So all his songs are in the format of a padigam, except one or two. All of them are in the songs in the format of a padigam, and these people have said to sung so many songs, but only a few have survived for this era. So that is fortunate or unfortunate, we don't know. So the songs typically by Tiruniyana Sambandar are called Tirukkadai Kaappu. So the first Tirumurai 1, 2, 3 are Tirukkadai Kaappu by Tiruniyana Sambandar, and he lived around the 17th century. So I given the verse count. The first Tirumurai has about 1400 songs, and the second one is about 1300, and the third one is also about 1300 songs, which are now available, presently extinct. And the next three Tirumurai are sung by Tirunavukarasar Appar, who became enlightened in a very old age, about 81 years. He became enlightened and became a Shaivite saint and started singing padigams on Shiva. He is also a contemporary of Tiruniyana Sambandar, living in the same around the 17th century CE. So 4, 5, 6, Tirumurai 4, 5, 6 are called Devaram. So the songs by Tirunavukarasar Appar Swamigal, we also say him, are called Devaram. And so they are also in the padigam format. So approximately there are about 3,000 in numbers, approximately 1,000 in each of the 4, 5, 6 Tirumurai. So we call them as Mudal Tirumurai, Irandam Tirumurai, Moondram Tirumurai, like that. We use the ordinal number in Tamil itself. So no special names for them. But the 1, 2, 3 are called Tirukkadai Kaappu, 4, 5, 6 are called Devaram. And the seventh one, seventh Tirumurai, Edam Tirumurai, is called Tirupattu, divine songs sung by Sundarar. He is a very special person because he is the one who give the list of 63 Nayanmars. I will come to that. So Thiru Nambi Arurar, he's also, his actual name is Nambi Arurar or Thiru Nambi Arurar, and people call him Sundarar. He is considered as a image of Shiva himself. He is a slightly later day person coming from around the end of 8th century. And again, he has sung padigams, about 1026 are available now. He is said to have sung about a lakh of songs, but now only thousands of them are available. That is there. And so see, these are the 7 Tirumurais, and the 7 Tirumurais are collectively called as Devaram, even though 1, 2, 3 is called Tirukkadai Kaappu, and the 7th one is called Tirupattu, but all the 7 people collectively call them as Devaram. So Devaram in general could mean any of the first 7 Tirumurai. And the 8th Tirumurai is a very famous Tiruvasagam by Manivasagar, Manikavasagar or Manivasagar, who is again coming from 9th century CE. The time period of Manivasagar is a bit not clear. And Tiruvasagam is a collection of varied songs about the divine experiences of Manivasagar when he is searching for a guru, the god in the form of a guru, teacher for him to liberate, attain salvation. And there is also another text in the 8th Tirumurai, which is frequent, that is not widely read that much as compared to Tiruvasagam. This is called Tirukkovayar. So this is a Agam literature. The Kovai is an Agam literature, which is a collection of 400 Agam songs set in the same theme. So same scene or same theme. So that is a Agam literature called the Kovai. So that is sung by Manikavasagar. So you see, Tiruniyana Sambandar, Tirunavukarasar and Nambi Arurar, these persons are all Nayanmars. That's why I put the N. I also made their names bold. So they are all Nayanmars. Manikavasagar is not in the Nayanmar list, and we call them as Tirunalvar, the divine four of Shaivam. In that list, we include Manikavasagar. So Tiruniyana Sambandar, Tirunavukarasar, Sundarar or Nambi Arurar, and Manikavasagar, they are called as the Samaya Kuravargal, the foremost teachers of the Shaivam canon. And so they are called as the divine four, the Tirunalvar. And the ninth canon, Tirumurai, Thiruvisaipa. So these are all, many of these people are contemporaries of Rajaraja Chola. They are from the 10th century. So the Thiruvisaipa is again a collection of various padigams, are all musical, very musical padigams. That's why they are called Thiru Isaipa. Isai means musicum, music. And it is by 9 authors. I have given the name here: Tirumaligai Devar, Sendanar, Karur Devar, Pundurutti Nambikada Nambi, Kandaradithar, Venatadigal, Tiruvali Amudanar, Purushottama Nambi, and Chedi Rayar or Chediyar. So, and also given the count, the number in the bracket refers to the count of the songs they have sung. And there is a song called Tirupallandu. In Vaishnavism also, the Nalayira Deva Prabandham starts with the Tirupallandu. So here also we have a Tirupallandu sung by Sendanar. So these Thiruvisaipa and the Tirupallandu are the 9th canon, 9th Tirumurai, 9th Tirumurai. 10th Tirumurai is Pattam Tirumurai, is Tirumandiram by Tirumular. This is a very, very famous philosophical work. More than religion, it's considered as a philosophical work, and it's also has some lot of medicinal things there. So this is a Tirumular is considered as a Siddha. So it also fall under the Siddha medicine canon. So that is such a deep work, Tirumandiram. It has about 3000 songs in it. Once again, the dating of Tirumular is not very clear. So some people say it's very early, even from the 3rd century or 6th century, or maybe a later day person, 1000th century CE. Some anyway, but this is a beautiful work and celebrated in various realms, not only for religious. It's also a very philosophical and in a medicinal book, Thirumandaram. And 11th one is an anthology. That's called Padinondram Tirumurai itself. There is no special name for that, 11th Tirumurai or Padinondram Tirumurai, but it contains a lot of text. About 40 different texts are there. It's a collection of them. I will list them, enumerate them in the next slide separately. That is by 12 authors. Some of these 12 authors are Nayanmars and some of them are not Nayanmars. And Tirumular is a Nayanmar. So all the authors of Tirumurai who are Nayanmars, I have marked them with the bold font and the N superscript. So you can know that. And the 12th one is Tiruttondar Puranam or Periya Puranam by Shekhilar. This is an epic, Tamil epic, composed in the later half of the 12th century. Shekhilar is a contemporary of Kulothunga Chola. And Shekhilar follows Sundarar. So Sundarar gives us the list of 63 Nayanmars in a Padiham called as Tiruttondar Togai. And later on, Nambi Andar Nambi in the 11th Tirumurai, the compiler of all the 10 Tirumurais, first 10 Tirumurais, Nambi Andar Nambi, who is also a contemporary of Rajaraja Chola. So he sings Tiruttondar Togai. So one verse per one Nayanmar. And then Sundarar uses these two and he collects a lot of other historical, archaeological evidence and compiles an entire epic based on the lives of all these 63 Nayanmars. So that is Periya Puranam or Tiruttondar Puranam, which is put as the 12th canon. So that is the last canon of the last Tirumurai of the Shaiva, the 12 Tirumurais there. So we will look at the 11th Tirumurai, Padinondram Tirumurai in detail. I'll just quickly read through the text name and the author name. You can check out the slide for the things, what is that about and all those. So one is the Tirumuga Pasuram. This is basically a letter given by Lord Shiva himself to one of the king in Chera kingdom, who is also a Nayanmar, Cheraman Perumal. I have given the name here. And then we have Karaikal Amaya, who lived very early. So she is the first person to have sung in the Padigam format. So that's why her Padigam are called Mutta Tirupadigam, very the eldest Padigam. So she is typically dated a bit from the 3rd to 5th century CE. So Mutta Tirupadigam we call that. And then Thiru Irattai Manimalai, Arpuda Tirundadi. And then we have Kshetra Tiruvenpa by Ayadigal Kadavarkon, who is Pallava Simhavarma. He is also Nayanmar. And then another Kerala emperor who is also a Nayanmar, Cheraman Perumal Nayanar, who is also called as Kadadir Tarivar. And he has sung the Ponmannathu Anna Andadi, Tiruvarur Mummanikkovai, Tirukailaya Jnana Ula. This is considered as the Adi Ula. So it's a topic we'll talk about minor literature. One of the prominent minor literature, Sitralakyam, is Ula. So this is considered as the first Ula ever written, Tirukailaya Jnana Ula. So these people are all from the 8th century and even before that. And Kailai Padi, Kalati Padi Andadi, Tiru Ingoi Malai எழுபது, Tiru Valanjodi Mummanikkovai, Tiru எழுகூற்று Irukkai, Perundeva Bani, Koba Prasadam, Kar Yettu, Potri Tiru Kalivenpa, and Tiru Kannappa Devar Tirumaram. All these were sung by Nakirar. This is Nakira Deva Nayanar. He is not the Nakirar from Sangam literature. So we have a Nakirar in Sangam literature. This is not the same Nakirar. As I said for Abbayar, if you remember. See, these names, Nakirar, Abbayar, Kabilar, Baranar, these are all very famous names. So people would have given these names to their children even in later days, or poets would have adapted them as pseudonyms, like Punai Payar, we say in Tamil. So their pen name or pseudonyms in later day also. So we have various names, the same names in various time periods. By the structure, the form of their poetry and what the poetry is talking about, based on certain archaeological evidences, by correlating them, we are able to identify that these people are different people. So Sangam Nakirar, he have lived in the 3rd century CE. This Nakirar would have lived in the 10th century CE. So definitely that one Nakirar have not lived for thousands of years. If you believe that, it's okay. If you can believe that, otherwise you can believe these are two different Nakirars. So we typically consider them as two different Nakirars. That's why he is called as Nakira Deva Nayanar. And again, even though we call them as Nayanar, he is typically not the canonized Nayanar. He is not coming under the 63 Nayanmars. You remember that also. And sorry if it's all very confusing, but that is how it is, right? So this is Nakirar, and similarly we have this Nakirar. Tirumurugatru Padai is also collected among the 11th Tirumurai, but Tirumurugatru Padai is definitely a Sangam literature work. So that particular Nakirar who wrote Tirumurugatru Padai is a different one, and the other Nakirar who wrote all these work is a different one. So that is the case here. And then we have Kalladanar, who is also another name coming from Sangam literature, but this is a different poet, later day poet. That is Thiru Kannappa Devar Tirumaram. So he has sung that one song on Kannappa Nayanar. And similarly, we have Kabilar. So like Kabilar Baranar of Sangam literature, we have another Kabilar Baranar in a later day. So we call them as Kabila Deva Nayanar and Barana Deva Nayanar. So this Kabilar have sung Mutta Nayanar Thiru Irattai Manimalai. Mutta Nayanar is Tirunjana Sambandar. And Sivaberuman Thiru Irattai Manimalai, Sivaberuman Thiru Andadi. So I have sung all those songs here. And Barana Deva Nayanar have sung Sivaberuman Thiru Andadi. So another Sivaberuman Thiru Andadi. And then Ilam Peruman Adigal have sung Sivaberuman Mummanikkovai. And Mutta Pillayar Thiru Mummanikkovai by Adira Adigal. These are all people, very later day people. and கோவில் நான்மணிமாலை, திரு கழுமல மும்மணிக்கோவை, திரு திருவிடை மருதூர் மும்மணிக்கோவை, திரு ஏகம்பம் உடையார் திரு அந்தாதி, திருவொற்றியூர் ஒருபா ஒரு பக்து. These are all sung by a person called Pattinathu Pillayar. This is a different person from Pattinattar. So we have a Siddhar called Pattinattar. He was a later day, about 14th century person. But this is a 10th century person called Pattinathu Pillayar. So he is one of the authors of the 11th Tirumurai. And then we have the Nambi Andar Nambi. This person, Nambi Andar Nambi, is a very prominent person because he is a contemporary of the Rajaraja Chola, the greatest Chola emperor, Rajaraja Chola, who collected all the Tirumurais. See, until so the Tirumurais were composed in the 6th, 7th, 8th century up to 9th century, and somewhere in between, people lost the use of them, right? So continuity of them, and they were all these manuscripts, all these palm leaf manuscripts were collected in Chidambaram temple, Thillai. And in the room they locked everything, so they are not giving that to public. So Rajaraja, having known that, he used his authority and opened that room and collected the Tirumurai. Unfortunately, we lost many of the Tirumurai to termites and other insects and other damages of nature, but some of them survived. So whatever survived, he gave that, trusted that to this Nambi Andar Nambi person, who is also a key person in recovering all these Tirumurai. And he gave them to Nambi Andar Nambi, and Nambi Andar Nambi went through them and compiled them. So he corrected them and made copies and compiled. So he is a very key person in compiling, recovering and compiling the first 10 Tirumurais. If not for these two persons, Rajaraja Chola and Nambi Andar Nambi, you would have lost for eternity all these texts. So we are very thankful and fortunate for them. So this Nambi Andar Nambi, after compiling the 10 Tirumurais, he himself is a very poetic as well as devotional person. So he himself composed a lot of songs. So all these songs were compiled into the 11th Tirumurai. So typically it's not proper to say he himself put all his work in the 11th Tirumurai, which is not a good thing. People would have not done that definitely. So later people after Nambi Andar Nambi, having seen his work and his knowing his value, they have compiled all his work into the 11th Tirumurai. So 11th and 12th Tirumurai are definitely compiled after Nambi Andar Nambi, but we can surely say up to the 10th Tirumurai, Nambi Andar Nambi himself collected them, especially the 7 Tirumurais and the Tiruvasagam, all those things, definitely Nambi Andar Nambi compiled them. So that is the case. Now Nambi Andar Nambi has sung about 10 text here. So திரு நாரையூர் விநாயகர் திரு இரட்டை மணிமாலை, கோயில் திருப்பன்னியார் விருத்தம், திருத்தொண்டர் திரு அந்தாதி, ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் திரு அந்தாதி, ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் திரு சண்பை விருத்தம், ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் திரு மும்மணிக்கோவை, ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் திரு உலா மாலை, ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் திரு கலம்பகம், ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் திருத்தொகை, திருநாவுக்கரசர் திருநாவுக்கரசர் தேவர் திரு ஏகாதச மாலை. So these are all the works by Nambi Andar Nambi, and the most important of them is the திருத்தொண்டர் திரு அந்தாதி. Of course, all these ஆளுடைய பிள்ளையார் is திருஞான சம்பந்தர் and திருநாவுக்கரசர். So Nambi Andar Nambi here gives a lot of historical records about திருஞான சம்பந்தர் and திருநாவுக்கரசர் also. But the most important one is திருத்தொண்டர் திரு அந்தாதி, which is sort of an expansion of the திருத்தொண்டர் தொகை by Sundarar, which lists the 63 Nayanmar names. And here he is expanding that, which is the foundation for the Periya Puranam for Shekara later on. So these are all the 11 Tirumurais of the Shaivam canon. So now we will look at the 63 Nayanmars. As I mentioned, if I start telling about the history of them, then it will take a long time, hours together. So I'll simply mention their names. That's all. I am very blessed to be mentioning their names to you. You can read about them in the shaivam.org website. All the details are available. The entire history in detail is available both in Tamil and English. So they also wrote those history word by word based on Periya Puranam. So it's a very authentic rendition. So you can definitely trust and read that. Here I have given the names, I have given their clans just to enumerate that they are all coming from different walks of life. So Nayanmars are not only priests or something like that. They are coming from various parts of life. They are kings there, they are traders, they are farmers, they are even Dalits. So every walk of life people are there, Nayanmars are there. But of course, anyone who is worshipping them will not be looking at their class or clan. They will be considered as Nayanmar and even slightly some 10% more than Lord Shiva himself and worship them. So that is the case. And the time period of these Nayanmars I have given here. I have given this into 4 categories. So this I have taken from a book called Periya Purana Araichi by Rasa Manikanar. I have mentioned that book there. So here he beautifully gives a lot of evidence and puts these Nayanmars into 4 categories. So Nayanmars who lived even before the time of Upper and Trinyana Sambandar. So Upper Trinyana Sambandar's time is around 600 century. So around the 600 to 660 CE, around the time when the Pallava kings, they were taking back Tamilnadu, their Kanchipuram place. So at that time, so 600 to 660 CE. So that is the time period for Upper and Trinyana Sambandar. They were contemporaries. So people who lived before Upper and Trinyana Sambandar, like Karaikal Ammayar and all, Kannappa Nayanar, so that legendary people, historical or legendary. So they people lived in the Sangam era and even before that. And the people who are contemporary of Upper and Trinayana Sambandar, so who lived between 600 to 660, 660 more or less. That is the time period for Upper and Trinayana Sambandar. And people who lived between Upper and Trinayana Sambandar, after Upper and Trinayana Sambandar, up to the point of Sundarar. So people who have not been mentioned by Upper or Tirunavukarasar, but sung by Sundarar. So people between that time period. So they are from 600 about to 840 C, 8th century. And then people who are contemporary of Sundarar, so they would have lived from somewhere around 840 to 865, that period. So that is how we put all these Nayanmars into four categories. So people who lived between Trinayana Sambandar himself, people who are contemporaries of Trinayana Sambandars, and people who are between Trinayana Sambandar and Sundarar, between that 2 century period, and people who are contemporary of Sundarar. So that is how the time period is given. So you can, and we don't know much other evidence to put them in a more exact time period. So let us quickly read the names of all these people, and this list is coming from the Tiruttonda Togai sung by Sundarar. So we go there. The list goes like this: Trinilaganda Kuyavar, Yer Pagayar, Ilayangudi Marar. And all these names you can add the word Nayanmar or Nayanar. So we can say Tirunilaganda Kuyavar or Trinilaganda Nayanar, Yer Pagai Nayanar, Ilayangudi Mara Nayanar. Like that you can add. So I just read the names of them. So Meipurul Nayanar, Viranminda Nayanar, Amar Nidi Nayanar, Eribattar, Yenadi Nadar, Kannappa Nayanar, Kunguliya Kalayar, Manakkanjarar, அறிவாட்டாயர், ஆனாயர், மூர்த்தி நாயனார், முருக நாயனார், உருத்திர பசுபதி நாயனார், திருநாளை போவார் is also called as நந்தனார், திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர், சண்டேஸ்வரர், திருநாவுக்கரசர் also called as அப்பர், குலச்சிறை நாயனார், பெருமிழலை குறும்பர், காரைக்கால் அம்மையார், அப்பூதி அடிகள், திருநீல நக்கர், நமிநந்தி அடிகள், திருஞான சம்பந்தர், ஏயர்கோன் கலிகாமர், திருமூலர், தண்டி அடிகள், மூர்கர், சோமாசி மாறர், சாக்கியர். Sakiyar basically means a Buddhist, but he converted to Shaivism. So Sakya Nayanar, Sirapuli Nayanar, Sirudondar, Cheraman Perumal, who is also called as Kararit Adivar, who is a Chera king, Gananadar, Putruvar, Pugat Chorar, Narasinga Munayarayar, Adibattar, Kalikambar, Kaliyar, Saktiyar or Sakti Nayanar, Ayadigal Kadavar Kon, Ganampulla Nayanar, Kari Nayanar, Nindrasir Nedumarar, he is a Pandian king, Vailar Nayanar, Munayaduvar, Kadarchingar, இடங்கழியார், செருதுணையார், புகழ்துணையார், கோட்புலியார், பூசலார், மங்கையர் கரசியார், நேசர், கோட்செங்கட்சோழர், திருநீலகண்ட யாழ்ப்பாணர், and finally Sadayar, Isaiஞானியார், and Nambi Aroorar, Sundaramurti Swamigal, Sundarar himself. Now Sadayar, Isaiஞானியார், they are the parents of Sundarar. So Sundarar, when he is signing off, he is saying, I am Sundarar, the son of Sadayar and Isaiஞானி. So he is mentioning their names, and because they also become Nayanmars. Of course, they have begot the greatest son ever. So definitely they deserve to be Nayanmars. So it's Adayar Isaiஞானியார் and Nambi Aroorar, Sundaramurti himself, who puts his name as a signature in the final song. So he's also the Nayanmar. And Tirunilaganda Yalpanar is very important because he is a contemporary of Tirunyana Sambandar, and it is his lineage which preserved all these musical notes. So he also is a composer of the music for Tirunyana Sambandar's Padiham, and its lineage is the one who helped reviving the musical notes. When Nambi Andar Nambi in the 10th century, so they lived in the second part of 7th century, but after that in the 10th century, when Nambi Andar Nambi was compiling all the works, they don't know what all those Ragam Pan, so all the Pan will be mentioned. So this Padikam should be sung in this Pan. They don't know what that Pan is, and it is said some Madanga Sulamaniyar, who is a lineage of this Tirunilaganda Yalpanar, she helped them to identify all the puns. It means they have preserved all that knowledge all that time. So it's a very important service they have done to us. So I've given this legend here. So this all these time periods before Tirunyana Sambandar or Upper, and the contemporaries of them, and the people before Sundarar, and the people contemporaries of Sundarar, and all this is coming from the Periya Purana Araichi by Rasa Manikana. This book in Tamil is available in Internet Archive, archive.org, or Tamil Digital Library. I'll give a link in the description. If you're interested, you can read this book. And very interestingly, Manikavasagar is not included in the 63 Nayanmars. He is considered as the Tirunalvar, one of the prominent four of the Saivam, but he is not in the 63 Nayanmars. But one thing, apart from the 63 Nayanmars, individual persons named by Sundarar, we also have Sundarar also in one of the songs, he mentions Nayan Togayadiyas. In the very first word, he says Tillaivar Andanar. And somewhere in between, he says Poyyadigal Illada Pulavar. And then another 7 groups of people. So apart from these individuals, Sundarar also mentions group of people who worship Lord Shiva in various forms, like people who sing and worship Shiva. People Appalu Madisandar. So people from different lands, from different time periods. So he gives a very blanket definition for them. So that we call them as Togayadiyar. And one of the Togayadiyar is Poyyadimai Illada Pulavar. Typically, poets who are not leaning towards lie, though who don't have any false affiliation. That is what Poyyadimai illada Pulavar means. But some people interpret this Poyyadimai illada Pulavar to be meaning to Manikavasagar. So that may or may not be the case. We are not sure. But Sundarar have clearly mentioned all the other Nayanmars by their name, given name itself. So Manikavasagar, he would have definitely mentioned that, but it's not there. So Manikavasagar is not included in the 63 Nayanmars. But nevertheless, he is a very prominent saint in Saivism. So that is the 63 Nayanmars and all. So then we can move on to the Nalayira Divya Prabandham, the Vaishnavite canons. So there are 4,000 divine songs, Nalayira Divya Prabandham, which are put into 4,000s. So the arrangement, like the 12th Tirumurai, here there are 4,000s. Of course, they may not be exactly 1,000, but more or less 1,000. So 4,000s are there. So we look at the 4,000s here, and the 12 Azhwars are also the authors of the Divya Prabandham, and all the authors of the Divya Prabandham are also the 12 Azhwars, except one person who sung the Nutrandadi. So the text name in the first 1,000, it starts with the Tirupallandu by Periyalvar. So you already saw Pallandu in Saivam, but this is the first earlier Pallandu. So Periyalvar lived in the 9th century. So this is the earliest Pallandu by Periyalvar, who is also the father of Andal. And there is Periyalvar Tirumuri. So there are about 4,800 songs in all here. And then we have Andal Nachiyar, the famous Andal. This is Margazhi month, and we're talking about Andal. It's a very blessing for us. So Andal's Tirupavai, the famous 30 songs which are sung during Margazhi month in all over Tamilnadu and some parts of Andhra and Karnataka, and even in some part of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, like that. So that is Tirupavai. And Nachiyar Tirumuri, because she is Andal Nachiyar, her Tirumuri, her Pasurams are called Nachiyar Tirumuri, and she is the only female Alvar. And Kulashekara Alvar, we have Perumal Tirumuri, and Thirumadisai Alvar, we have Tiruchanda Viruttam, very beautiful rendition. So if you ever want to read a sweetest Tamil, you should read this Tiruchanda Viruttam. Personally, I think, simply by reciting those verses, you will have a sweetness in your mouth. That's how the Tamil and the beauty of musicality is there. Tiruchanda Viruttam by Thirumadisai Alvar. And we have Tondaradipudi Alvar giving us Thirumalai and Tirupalli Eluchi. And we have Tirupan Alvar given us a simple only one Padiham, Amalan Adi Piran, that is there. And then we have Madurakazhi Alvar, Kanni Nun Sirudambu, and Tirumangai Alvar. So that is, those are the first 1,000. So these are the first 1,000. Approximately 947 songs are there, all called Pasurams. And in the second 1,000, the works by Tirumangai Alvar are all collected in the second 1,000. So we have Periya Tirumuri, Tirukurun and Thiru Nedun Tandagam. So these are the works only by Tirumangai Alvar in the second 1,000. Approximately they are slightly more than 1,000. They are about 1,150 Pasurams here. The third 1,000, Moondram Ayiram, these are called Iyarpa, as opposed to the others which are all Isaipa. They are all set to music. Beautiful renditions that can be composed to beautiful music, and people are doing that. People are singing them with music. But these are all Iyarpa. They have mostly are Venpas, the Asiriyapa, like that. So they are all best for recitation, right? So that is called Iyarpa. And we have the earliest Azhwars here, Poigai Azhwar, Bhudat Azhwar, and Pei Azhwar. They are called as the Mudal Mover. So they are the earliest persons. Their heritage, nothing is known to us. So very early persons. So they definitely lived before some 6th century CE. So their work are Mudal Tiruvandadi, Irandam Tiruvandadi, and Moondram Tiruvandadi. So we simply say 1, 2, 3. Mudal, Irandu, Moondru. So that is the first 3 Azhwars, Poigai Azhwar, Bhudat Azhwar, and Pei Azhwar. And then we have Tirumadisai Azhwar, who gave us the Nanmugan Tiruvandadi, and then Nammalvar, the most prominent Alvar. So like Trinyana Sambandar of Saivism, Nammalvar is the most prominent Alvar in Vaishnavism. His works are there in the Moondram Ayiram. So it is Thiru Viruttam, Thiru Asiriyam, Periya Tiruvandadi. These are there. Nammalvar is also called as Vedam Tamil Seida Maran. So there are 4 Vedas in Sanskrit, and the Nammalvar's work are there in Tamil. So they are equivalent of the Vedas, the 4 Vedas. Okay, and then we have Tirumangai Azhwar. So Tirumangai Azhwar's works were there in Irandam Ayiram, but some of the Iyarpa are put in the Moondram Ayiram. Thiru Elukutru Irukkai, Siriya Tirumadal, and Periya Tirumadal. So these are put in the Moondram Ayiram, third 1,000. And then we have Periya Koil Nambi. So this is the person who is not an Azhwar among the 12 Azhwars, but he sung about Ramanuja, Acharya, who came in a later day. So Ramanuja Nutrandadi. That is the work of Periya Koil Nambi. And then we have the Nandam Ayiram, the 4th 1,000, once sung by Nammalvar, all the pasurams by Nammalvar, that is called the Tiruvai Mori. Like the second 1,000 only by Tirumangai Azhwar, which is called the Periya Tirumuri. The 4th 1,000 is by Nammalvar, called the Tiruvai Mori. So you can see all these Mori, Tirumuri or Tiruvai Mori or Periya Tirumuri. So that is how the Mori, Tirumuri, they are called. All the Padigams are called the Tirumuri. So the 4th 1,000 is by Nammalvar. So the count gives you more or less 4,000 counts here. So Divya Prabandham was collected and compiled by Nada Munigal. There's a lot of history legend here. Like Nambi Andar Nambi, Nada Munigal collected the Divya Prabandham. He Here people singing few of these songs like Tirumurai also the same case here. So people somewhere in the middle we lost continuity of these songs, but here and there people know certain songs. So he heard them and he finds them very beautiful, and so he wants to hear more of them. So in one of the songs is mentioned Ayiram or something like that. So the so and so songs with a count of 1,000. So then he realizes there are more songs. So this Nadamunigal goes and asks people where he can find the songs. So he was told that you should pray to Nammalvar. Nammalvar will be able to help him. So he goes and worships Nammalvar. He sort of takes up a penance and worships Nammalvar, and Nammalvar appears to him and then gives him all the Nalayira Divya Prabandham to him. But then he writes them and compiles them. So that is how we get the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. And here we talk about the 12 Azhwars. Let's enumerate the 12 Azhwars. So the time period. So there is a historical dating for the Azhwars and there is a traditional dating. The traditional dating puts the Azhwars in the Dwapara Yugam, Treta Yugam like that, which is typically about some 4,000, 3,000 years before now. That is the traditional dating, but historical evidences, contemporaries, and all those things mentions. So mentions of certain kings, contemporaries, based on the legends. So people, historians have arrived at certain dates. So I've given both the dates to you. So the centuries and all those things. So up to you, whatever you take up to you. But also the most important thing about the Azhwars is that all the Azhwars are considered as some amsam, some feature of Thirumal. So Vishnu is there in Vaikuntham. Vishnu is there. All the Azhwars are certain aspects of that Vishnu coming down to earth for the sake of humanity. So what is the aspect? That's called Amsam, Hamsa. So what is that Amsam? So Podigai Azhwar is the Amsam of Kanch, Shangu, Panchajanya of Vishnu. Bhudat Azhwar is the Amsam of the mace of Vishnu called Kaumodaki. And the Pei Azhwar is the Amsam of sword of Vishnu called Nandaki. Tirumalisai Azhwar is the Amsam of Sudarshana Chakram, discus of Vishnu. Nammalvar is the Vishwakshena, is the leader in Vaikuntham. So Nammalvar is a sort of an avatar of this Vishwakshena. Madhurakavi Alvar is the lotus that Thirumal holds. Kulashekara Alvar is the gem Kaustubha, the gem that adorns the Vishnu's chest. The gem is actually it's an identification mark for Vishnu. So that is Kulashekara Alvar. And the Peri Alvar is the Garudan, the Garuda mount of Vishnu. Andal Nachiyar is Bhudevi herself. She is the consort of Vishnu herself. Avataram is Andal Nachiyar. Andal Nachiyar also reunites with Vishnu. And Tondaradipudi Alvar is the garland, Vanamalai of Vishnu. And the Tirupan Alvar is the Srivatsa, the mole of Vishnu. And the Tirumangai Alvar is the Sharanga, the bow of Vishnu. So these are the Andal. So Vishnu sent all his weapons and surrounding things for the sake of humans as Azhwars. That is why they are Azhwars. And Azhwar Pasurams are so beautiful, so philosophical, so touching. So definitely you should read at least a few of them. So that is the 12 Azhwars and the 1263 Nayanmars and the 12 Tirumurais of Shaivism and 4,000 divine songs of Vaishnavism. So all these are together called as the Bakthi literature, which marks about some 5 centuries span of time in the Tamil history and has its everlasting impact in the history and culture of the Tamil people, which is seen even today. So as I was saying, this Margadi month, we Shaivite people go to temple and they sing the Tiruvambabai by Manikavasagar, and Vaishnavite people go to temple and sing the Tirupavai by Andal. And in Srirangam and many other temples, there are special services offered to God based on these Tirumurai. So Pagal Pattu, Iravu Pattu, like that, they sing these Tirumurai in a particular traditional way, all set by Ramanujar. So that is how the Bhakti literature and the Bhakti era has impacted the Tamil culture and the Tamil people. So I'm happy I was able to share that with you all. Thank you very much. See you all in the next topic.